I think we're live then.
It said it on my screen that you were.
Okay, great. Great.
All right.
Are you
I
letting
just
people
did
in?
the wrong. Yeah, I just did the wrong thing though.
Hey, Van. Hey, Debbie.
What happened to my picture?
Is it fixed now?
Life's a mystery.
Oh, that's because we're on John's. Oh, but you would normally have it here anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Don't know what to tell you.
You guys can just picture what I look like.
There you go.
Crazy. You know?
Well, you can use our imaginations.
Like, yes. Is John still gone this week?
John had a schedule conflict today, out of the blue. So today I am John, or
Hi,
Kim
John.
is John.
Oh, hi, John. I like how you guys have matching backgrounds.
We're matchy. But we're even wearing the same color shirts.
I know. I thought it was your uniform.
We're styling. Should we get started?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, I am adding the link to our socials so that everyone that is in the socials can join us live.
Great.
To connect. Usually I do this in the background while you and John are talking. So.
Okay, well, I'll start talking then. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Connect Show with Jon and Tracy, where we join you each week to celebrate small business ownership and provide you the resources that you need to be successful.
Sorry, still going.
We would like to support you in your journey. So please join us on Fridays at 10 a.m. Central for our Epic Networking North event. So if you haven't heard of Epic, it's a networking group out of Florida. They have events 3 times a week. I believe it's Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. For us at Central Time, it's like 7 a.m. So I think otherwise it's 8 a.m. depending on where you are. But they do have a nice large group of networking people there. And we have the Epic North event on Fridays at 10 a.m. Central, which is a little later in the day. But that event is turning out to be a little bit like a mastermind event. And so if you haven't been there, I encourage you to come by and stop and visit with us. And you can find that link on our website. And I think Kim might put it in the chat later too.
I absolutely will. I'm going to put that in the chat a couple of times today because we want you all there.
And so if you're out on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn watching this right now, please come and like and subscribe so you can listen to this in the future, so you can be pointed out when we're going to be going on the air. And if you're also there, you can go to bit.ly/the Connect Show to join us over here in Zoom so you can interact with our guest today and become part of the whole Connect Show experience.
And if you're viewing us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, I've already put that link in the chat, so just click it and come join us.
Awesome.
Today, our guests are Paul Schreier, who's with Digital Course Warriors, and Alexis Nicole White, who's a certified project manager and Scrum Master. Interesting to find out what Scrum Master is.
And coming up next week, we will have another exciting new show having to do with organization for your business and course creation. We'll have 2 great ladies. We'll have Patricia Clayson, I think it's Clayson, Clason, and Tanya Bertolini. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully I didn't butcher those last names too much.
We encourage you to connect with one another. So share your information with the group in the chat. And I will be crazy multitasking today, monitoring the chat and co-hosting in John's place today. So at minimum, put your name and your LinkedIn profile in the chat to connect with one another.
So Kim, what are you doing to work on getting organized in your business lately? Considering we're talking all about organization.
I'm kind of all over the place. I'm really trying to, I guess the biggest way that I'm trying to organize, I use Google Sheets for a lot of stuff. And I'm really starting to create multiple different Google Sheets for different things. Like I have one just for like important links. I have a lot of affiliate links with doing social media management. So I have all of my affiliate links in one tab. So I have just a general business spreadsheet. And then I create different tabs. So that kind of helps me organize my business, I guess, in a way. I don't have a full on CRM that I've found that I love to really keep the business totally organized. So Google Sheets it is until I find it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Well, I've tried a bunch of the different CRMs, and my business just keeps changing on me, and so therefore they don't have all the tabs and things that I want them to have as my business is changing. So I am also resorting to the Google Sheet experience, but I have picked up on a cool thing with Google Sheets from Debbie over here, who's over here watching us in Zoom land. The drop down menus. The drop down menus that you can create in Google Sheets is a lifesaver. It's a game changer too. And I'm almost thinking that people in business should all be taking a Google Sheet or a Google Excel class. I mean, an Excel class, not Google Excel.
I don't disagree. People are really afraid of Excel. So afraid of Excel. But
And it's so powerful.
Once you kind of get some of those key elements of it, wow, the sorting options that you can do. And I think that's why I haven't found that perfect thing, because I have loved Excel for so many years and found just different ways to search and utilize it. And now Google Sheets has these check boxes that like you just feel so complete when you check that box that you did something. Oh, it feels amazing. So
yeah, I do like the check boxes myself. And I have somebody that's working with me on a big Google Sheet that I have that has a lot of lines of data on them, and they're teaching me how to organize the data properly so that I can pull specific pieces of data out and put them into charts and graphs, and like it's going to be incredible when that's all figured out. And I'm just kind of learning as I'm going, but
imagine maybe you should take that class too.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
we should do it together.
Maybe we should.
All right. Are we ready for our quote of the day?
Yes.
Or are we still going? Okay. It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. That is from the lovely Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah, because a lot of organization takes a lot of time to plan, I think. And you can wish it all you want, but you might as well just start doing it.
Action. Wishes are one thing, but action makes it happen. So
this is our vitamins for the soul commercial. So we're going to break right here. John, this is where you put the vitamins for the soul commercial in when you're editing this video, when you come back to us.
That's amazing. So we're going to ask the audience. We have a very quaint audience today, but that is okay. What is holding you back in becoming more organized in your business? So what would you say about that, Tracy? What is holding you back?
Holding me back?
Yep.
Well, I think I just talked about, I think I just pointed it out. It must be not enough education to know what I can and cannot do. I think I need more education in Excel and Google Sheets. And as soon as I accomplish that, then who knows where I'll be able to go.
I think for me, it's time, because I'm learning so many new things all the time. Time management is what's holding me back. So it's like I have to be organized with my time, but yet I have to be organized with my business. So putting that together, making that a amazing thing. Yeah, gonna go for it. You want to call
Yeah.
in some audience people? Again, our question is, what is holding you back in becoming more organized in your business?
How about you, Van? I know the
Yeah,
wheels are turning.
yeah, the wheels have turned and there's a flat tire on one of them. No, seriously, in our profession in accounting, this is a little bit more busy time of the year. And what holds me back is remembering that I'm not doing that kind of work and other people are, and being respectful of people's time. And so it takes longer to get answers. And so patience, I guess, needing to develop patience is what's going to get me through, this the temporary issue here. But otherwise, tools are in place. Just a matter of using them.
Great answer.
Yeah. How about you, Debbie?
She might just be listening. Sometimes she has.
Oh, she might be on a phone call.
Yeah, she might be on a phone call.
Okay, then Karen.
Good morning.
Good
What's
morning.
holding me back? Usually lack of knowledge, and I'm working on that. Okay, I'm asking for help from other people who have more knowledge in their areas than I have in mine, and I'm learning to go along. I tell everybody, you want to know anything about science and health? Ask me because I'll tell you. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer. It's pretty easy for me to do that. But when it comes to the computer and social media, just the opposite. So I have been calling on the people who know their job and do their job. That's all.
Great.
Yeah. So that means we all have to have patience. We have to have knowledge, and we have to manage our time. That's what I've deduced out of this conversation.
And also
Those are-
suck it up if you don't know and you can't figure it out, ask someone. Have the guts to ask, right?
Yep.
Because that's hard to have those guts and say, I'm going to ask so and so a question. And now I have to look like I am not educated in that, but that's okay. That's why they have a specialty and you have your own specialty, right?
Mhm. Right.
Very cool. Very cool.
Right. I think we're ready to move on to our first guest today, and we're going to ask our guest that question too. So you guys, you'll get their insights on what they're struggling with too. So for Paul's introduction, it all started way back in the 80s when Paul picked up his first guitar at the age of 12. He spent the next 15 years trying to be a rock star. After that, Paul taught audio, video production, and that really is where the love of teaching started.
After leaving the music industry, he landed his career job with Cisco Systems. The majority of his 24 years at Cisco was spent creating online and in-person courses and teaching them all over the world. After that, that is when Digital Course Warriors was born. So welcome to Paul Stryer.
Thank you. Thank you.
And our question of the day, what is holding you back in becoming more organized in your business?
Well, that's a funny question because I've spent, my whole career at Cisco, 24 years, and I'm still there, still consulting. And so as an engineer, I learned very quickly that you have to make a plan and then work the plan. And if you don't have a plan, you're going nowhere, no action's going to happen, and you're going to end up in rabbit holes that end up taking you everywhere. So as far as organization, I'm probably more organized than most people will ever be. I'm overdone with the organization to the point where it almost is too much. So that's not really my issue is organization, but mine is time, because I see everything and I want to do it all. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I have to really focus my time to really make sure that I actually work my plan. And so that's where my problem is. It's the ADD thing, right? I want to do everything. Like
Thus the reason you're living in a mobile home, in a home that moves.
RV. Yeah.
Or your RV.
Yeah. So about 2 weeks ago, someone showed me low content books, and now I have 5 published books in 2 weeks. So I mean, it's just like, it's just
I just discovered those myself. I'm pretty excited about that too.
I have 5 published in 2 weeks. I have 18 more that will come out soon.
Oh my!
Different people, so they'll be doing the marketing, not me. So it's cool. Anyways, but
nice.
my problem is time, because I see things, I just want to go do it. I learn and I do it. And but I spend probably a good 80% of my time with my students when they come to me, just teaching them organization. And I'm actually writing a class right now on how to create SMART goals and how to create plans to get to those SMART goals. And I'm actually going to start offering a mini version of that class as part of my course, the big overall Digital Course Warriors course. So I'm actually putting a small module in, and we're going to spend the first part of when they come to me and they sign on with my program, we're going to spend the first portion not even talking about courses. We're going to talk about, what are your goals in life? What are SMART goals? How do I make a plan to achieve those goals? Because what I'm finding, 90% of the students that come to me, they don't have a clue how to create a plan. And they're just living life and just going and jumping from the thing to thing, and they're really overwhelmed. And and so I basically, I've gotten really good at calming people down and saying, okay, let's take a step back, and let's take a look at where you are in life, and let's figure your life plan out first and what you want to do for your life and your business before we even start talking about technology and editing videos and creating videos and all the stuff that's in my course. Let's get a good firm solid base first, because if you don't have that base and a plan of action, you're never going to get there. And then once we get into the big course of creating, my course teaches people how to build courses and coaching programs. When we get in there, the first part of that is making another plan, and that's the plan of your course itself, right? So so we're always making plans, and I'm all about make a plan and work a plan. You'll see that through all of my themes everywhere.
Excellent. That really kind of helps lead us into our first question for you. I know we had our prelude question, but with all the gurus, YouTube, and courses on the market, why would someone pick Digital Course Warriors over all the other ways to learn how to start an online course and coaching program?
Yeah, I can't compete with Tony and Dean, can I? So you'd be surprised. The reason why people come to me is because I'm great. No, just
good answer.
Yeah. Well, people learn differently, and people that might do good with Dean probably won't do good with me, and people that do good with me might not do good with Dean. So it's really how the person learns and how they feel with you and your personality. If I connect with somebody, then we're going to get along and work great. And if not, maybe we need to find another coach. And I've actually helped a few people find other coaches that we just didn't, I'm like, I would be glad to take your money, but, because, I do with everybody before they come on board. I'm like, let's see if we can find someone. I have this other person that I think you might like better or might fit you better because they're more in your genre of, or your niche, right? So, to me, it's not 100% about the money. It's about, people and making connections and networking. And, if I do a really good job for my students, they're going to continue to be lifelong students with me. And a lot of my students I've become friends with. I'm actually going on a diving trip with a couple of my students in a few weeks. So
nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's, to me, it's more about the fun of connecting with people and enjoying the people. So, that's really what it is just, making connections with people. And if you enjoy being with me, then let's make your business successful. And at the same time, that makes my business successful.
Right. And it's just trying to make that perfect match. And not everybody's going to be a match, but when you can find the perfect match, then just nurturing that relationship.
Yeah. And I have a bunch of friends that are like, dude, you turn those people away. I said, no, I didn't turn them away. We just found them someone that would fit them better, because I don't want to sit here and have to struggle with somebody because I'm too old for that. I don't want to struggle. I want to have a good time, because it's a lot of fun building a course. But if the people aren't jiving together, did I say jiving really?
You said jiving.
All right. It works.
If there isn't a cohesion there, it's not going to be fun, and you're going to be fighting each other, and it just, So, I'd rather not take the money and let them be with somebody that's going to connect with them better.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is actually taught in your program, the digital course Warriors Blueprint?
Yep. Well, I kind of started to allude to that because I'm changing my program a little bit because, like I said, when people first come to me, they're overwhelmed to the max. And I'll be honest with you, most of my customers come from Tony and Dean. They're kind of the overwhelmed leftovers that come up that just are completely overwhelmed by Tony and Dean because they are a lot of energy. It's just like,
okay, I'm going to pause here. I don't know that everybody knows who Tony and Dean are. Can you put some last names on those so they can all know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tony Robbins, which is, if you don't know that name,
yeah.
I don't even know a way to describe it. He's amazing. I love him. It's just like, I love watching this. The energy is amazing. And Dean Graziosi is Dean's partner, and they're always doing great, incredible free. If you have a chance to go to their free big sessions that they do, they're amazing. And even if it's not their full class, you still learn stuff in every class you go to them. But they are motivational speakers and also trainers. And they actually created mastermind.com, and they're teaching the same thing as me. They have a lot of classes on how to build courses. The problem is a lot of their courses are very high level, and they don't go deep in the covers, and they don't have anybody to really hold your hand. Whereas I'm a smaller group of people, so you get a lot more hand holding with me. So what's in my course? In my course, like I said, I'm changing it some now because I spend a lot of time focusing people on just their life and their planning. So I'm really have gotten into life coaching as well as course coaching because it takes a lot of time to get people not overwhelmed because they get out there and they see learning management systems and websites and social media marketing and organic marketing. They see all these things and they go from course to course and they go from webinar to webinar and they're just overwhelmed. So I'm going to spend a lot of time in the beginning now. Just let's make a plan for your life and your business. And then let's get you calmed down. And now let's go into my big course, which is how to build an online course and coaching program. And in that course, we're going to step you through everything. So we're going to set your goals. You're going to start achieving goals. Then we're going to start you into the course of what do we need to do to build your online business. And when you build an online business, the first thing I do is have you create a plan of what's in the business itself. And in the case of a class, we need to create the class syllabus, what's going to be in the course itself. So we spend a lot of time building what is in the actual class itself. What's in module 1, what's lesson 1, what's lesson 2, what's module 2, what's module 3. And then we have to put it in the right order and get it all aligned. And that actually becomes your plan because once I know all the lessons that I need to create, now I can create the videos for each of those lessons and the text for each of those lessons. And if there's any PDFs or Google Sheets that you're talking about or any of that stuff, there's we make a plan for that, and that plan, the outline of the class becomes the plan. And then we start recording videos. So I teach you how to make videos. I've done thousands and thousands of videos for many different classes and live shows and all kinds of stuff. So I have a green screen studio. I do a lot of stuff, and you don't need anything more than a cell phone to create videos that look really good. But I teach you a lot about lighting and how to get natural lighting so you don't have to spend any money. And everything I do, I try to make them not have to spend money to build everything. And we get into how to build websites, how to build your learning management system, and how to create the learning management system, how to set up your merchant account so you can take credit cards when you sell your accounts, and how to connect that to your course. We go through everything. And then once we get the class built and everything, we end up getting into organic marketing because most people that are starting out don't have a budget to go, outspend Tony Robbins for, $1 million a day for advertising, right? Most people can't do that. So we do organic marketing. And in my course, when you buy my full course, because I have a DIY version of it, when you buy the full course, we do weekly one-to-many sessions in Zoom, and we walk through everybody's questions and answers and problems. And if someone is having a problem creating an edit in a video, we'll sit there in the class in the weekly session and actually do the edit together in Zoom. So there's just it's pretty amazing how it just all comes together. And And I just enjoy working with the people and building courses. So it's like a puzzle to me, putting a class together.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit more about your history and what made you want to teach people how to start online course and coaching programs.
Okay. Well, in my past, in my youth, like I said, I wanted to be a rock star, and you can see that didn't happen. And I have become a rock star at Cisco Systems because people ask for me by name all the time now to to take classes and learn things. And I'll get people calling me, "Hey, Paul, do you teach this class?" I'm like, "No, but I'll go learn it and teach it to you." So I started out at Cisco. Actually, it started out way back in the 80s when I got an audio video engineering degree for college. And then I just didn't, and then my school that I got my degree from hired me on as a professor to teach. And that's when I started teaching. And that's when I fell in love. There's just nothing better than talking to a student. And, you can imagine at Cisco, it's really, really deep engineering stuff. And when I'm teaching somebody and they've been trying to figure out this really hard concept for 5 years, and all of a sudden, because you said something different and said it in a different way, all of a sudden their light bulb goes on. And that's just the best feeling in the world as a teacher, to watch somebody finally get a hard concept that they didn't know before, or they've been trying to get and they just haven't gotten it yet. And when I teach, my light bulb goes on all the time. I'll have concepts that I'm teaching that I don't 100% understand. And one day I'll be teaching and all of a sudden I'll be like, "Oh my God, I understand it."
Or you think you understood it,
yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a whole nother level of understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was sitting in front of like 40 people teaching a Cisco class one day. This happened a couple of times, but one day, the first time it happened, my light bulb went on. I said, "You know what? You guys go on break right now. I got to think about something."
They appreciated the break. You appreciated like your aha moment, right?
I had a complete meltdown aha moment. I was almost crying. I was like, "Oh my God, I finally get it." So, and I'd been teaching it for a long time, and just re-spewing what I knew, right? And not really 100% knowing it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, bam. So, so it's just a great feeling helping people and watching them grow. And when, I just had a student get her, I've been trying for a year. She's been my student for a year, and she just kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally we got our course launched last week, and she made her first sale the other day, and she was crying on the phone. And it was just like, it was a great moment.
Aw, that is nice. That is nice. It's great when you can be in a business that is so personally rewarding. And that's what it sounds like this does for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I had a lady call me from the UK. It was late 2020, and she had in March of 2020, because of COVID, the school system in London let her go after 30 years. Not just on some not we'll call you back later, you're gone, and had no other way to make money, had no clue what to do. She didn't have any savings, and had spent the last 8 months just trying to figure out. She was trying to figure out how to build a course in her subject that she was teaching at school. And when I got to her and I started talking to her, there was just no passion. It was like, she was like, "Well, and I want to do this math course." And I was like, blah, blah. And she was like, and then I said, and after about 10 minutes, I was like, I went Tony Robbins on her. I did NLP on her. I said, "Well, what do you do for fun?" And she goes, "Oh, I sew everything. See this shirt? I made this shirt." And she just go and go and go and go. She just wouldn't stop talking. And I said, "Okay, let's talk about that math class again." And she got really low. And after a couple of times of doing that, I said, "Why don't you just write your class on how to sew?" And she just looked at me and said, "I can do that." And then within 45 minutes, after 8 months of her trying to figure out how to create a class, in 45 minutes, we had already outlined her entire sewing class. And I said, "Why don't you take this outline, go to the 12 people that said they want to teach you, that you asked to teach them to sew, and so you have this class that you're going to be writing, and charge them $100 each as a pre-class sell." And that night she went out and sold 10 of these classes, and had $1,000 in her pocket, so that she could now rest a little bit or breathe while she actually wrote the class. So she actually pre-sold it that night after I talked to her. and she hadn't had a paycheck in a year. So that was amazing. I actually cried on
that is great, because and once you realize where your passion is, it doesn't even seem like work anymore. Now it's fun. You just want to keep doing it because it's just so exciting and you just love doing it.
And don't tell anybody. That's the reason why those people that we don't click with, I send them to other people so I can have fun, right? And enjoy it, because you're not going to enjoy it if you're not clicking. So
right. And that's, and that not everybody clicks. That's just how that's just what it is. And if you were trying to make it work, you're almost robbing them of the experience of having somebody that they could click with better.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Well, that was really informative, Paul. I'm really glad that you came on and shared all that information about course creation. And it sounds to me like you're more than just course creation. You're more about, you're like entrepreneur creator.
Yeah, I am. Like you said, I see something that I like the low content books. 2 weeks later, I got 5 on the market, right? So now I'll give you a little hint, a little tool tip. You were talking about tools to help you organize. Mm-hmm. I use Microsoft OneNote, and if you have a Macintosh, I forget the name of it, but there's Microsoft OneNote on Macintosh doesn't work very well, but there's another one like it. And I forget the name of it, but OneNote is, if I was to lose my OneNote, my entire career would be over, because I've been using it since like 2005, and every note I've ever taken since 2005 is searchable and in this OneNote, and it's all files and folders. And the other tool that's really super cool that I've started teaching my students in the last 6 months to make the plan for their business is using Trello, Trello.
Yes.
It is amazing. I was using Google Sheets with all of my students because we can share it. Now we use Trello on all of them, and it's shareable as well. It's fantastic. It's the most amazing organizational tool. I actually created my customer database and my CRM in Trello. And,
because you can move all the boxes around and organize them and put them however you want. And I've used it. I've gone back and forth between that and Google, and I keep saying, okay, we're gonna stay in this Trello. We're gonna like it. We're gonna do it. And then 6 months, or not even a month later, I've totally forgotten about it, and I'm back in Google Sheets.
Yeah, I do both.
That scares me, because you get into habits that you don't realize how strong they are, and for everything you try to do, you cannot create that new habit with that new tool as much as you want.
Yeah. So, and I go back and forth between Trello, OneNote, and Google Sheets. I use them all. And but I do a lot of automation with my Google Sheets and stuff, and build all kinds of dashboards and formulas that I can't believe I actually made, because I'm not a math person. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of formulas in there. I'm just like, I can't believe I made that. So.
Well, we do have a page on the website with all of your information and ways that people can contact you. It's theconnectshow.com/Paul Stryer, all one word. That link's in the chat, so people can reach out to you. Is there anything that you want to offer our guests today special to them?
Yeah, so I created a coupon code for I just created it this morning. It's the coupon code is podcast. So if you have to go to my site and go to the full course, it'll give you $500 off of the full course. And
wonderful.
And I put 5 of those out though, so the first 5 people that get there will get the $500 off on the full course. And if you wanna, there's buttons on my website to actually book calls with me if you want to talk to me first before you buy the course. But for the first 5 people that use podcast, they'll get the $500 off.
That's great. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fantastic. I love the idea of your whole show. It's incredible.
And Bill,
okay, we're moving on to the network. We're moving on to the networking report. I'm trying to be distracted from Bill's comments.
Those of you that are not in Zoom, he says Aaron Rodgers just signed a 4-year contract for $200 million with the Packers. So that's what's distracting in the chat right now. And we're going to talk about networking.
I was reading
I apologize to you folks that live in a land that's not as blessed as Wisconsinites are.
On to other news in the networking report today, I'm going to keep Tracy right on next to me. I like football, but we're here for business. I'm not getting $200 million for my networking report. I need to talk to Aaron Rodgers about that. Anyways, on our website, theconnectshow.com, if you go to /events/community/add, you can add your event to our calendar. I was trigger happy and I already put everything in the chat that I'm going to talk about. So you guys may have already read everything. Last week, we had our very first book club event for Small Business Milwaukee. And we are reading right now, Think and Grow Rich. We have only covered chapter 1 tomorrow at 11:30 Central. Join us for chapter 2. You still have time to read it. There's a link in the chat for the book if you'd like. There are multiple versions of this book. It's really kind of okay, whichever version that you have. We're going to take pieces out of the book and discuss basically specific paragraphs, specific portions, quotes, that kind of stuff. It's not really going to be deep into the stories, which is what's different in each version. There is a free PDF on the registration link. So if you don't have the book, you need to get the book. You want to read chapter 1 and chapter 2, you could do it on the PDF. You can do it on Kindle. You could do it however you want. You can listen to it, but join us. It was a really, really good event last week. Registrations in the chat. And then if you're local, I am doing a business over breakfast event the first and third Monday of every month. Really super excited about that. Tracy is going to join as often as she can, I believe. Really excited to bring back some in-person networking. And if you don't live in the area, it's really close to the airport, so you can fly in, come to the networking event, and fly back home if you want. Meet some people in mighty cold Wisconsin, you know. And of course, we talked about it earlier this morning. We have our epic event every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Central. It's like Tracy had mentioned earlier, it's like a mastermind of networking events. We really kind of just find a topic, dive into it, and we're really looking to grow that group. So if you already attend, please invite a friend. If you don't attend, join us. That is also in the chat, or you can find it on theconnectshow.com/events. And now my mouth is dry from talking. We are going to.
Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
That was Kim with our our networking report for today. We're moving on to our next guest speaker, and this is Alexis Nicole White. She's a certified project manager and Scrum Master with over 13 years of experience implementing information technology and telecommunications projects. Utilizing her expertise, she helps businesses to solve their most complex challenges by implementing viable solutions to drive change.
Specific areas of expertise include infrastructure, data, cybersecurity, and the mobile workforce. Previous experiences also include voice and wireless, VoIP, audiovisual integrations, digital supply chain, and ERP augmentations.
Welcome, Alexis, to the Connect Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So you didn't get to do our question of the day yet today, which was what's holding you back in becoming more organized in your business?
Well, ironically, that is my job, is to help people become more organized. But I will say that the one challenge that I do face is just getting my clients to trust me as a subject matter expert and as a trusted advisor. A lot of times we collaborate on identifying best practices and next steps. And so sometimes there's a disconnect, right, about the logic of how things should go and then the way that they've been previously doing business. So sometimes it's that friction there that Paul mentioned earlier, about trying to get people on the same page. But that honestly, that's normal as a part of project management. There's different phases that teams come together, and different frequencies and different synergies happens. And it's very common that in the beginning of collaboration that there's what they call a storming phase, where people just don't get along, or they're they're trying to figure out what works best for them as a team. So that is one of the biggest challenges that I face, but with due timing, that always course corrects. And then most people that didn't believe in what I was saying before, they're advocates of what it was that I was proposing. So that's one of the positive outcomes that comes with working with me.
Nice. So, what is the difference between a business coach and a consultant?
Absolutely. So the great question. And one of the main differences between working with a business coach and a consultant is that a coach is going to tap into your abilities and help you come up with the plan of action and helping you think on your own, identifying and proposing questions to help just get your brain working, to help you figure it out. Whereas as a consultant, I will actually help solve your problems. Part of what I do is I take what you're trying to achieve and I think about it and I reorganize it and propose it, and then I start to execute based on what the needs are. So those are the main differences. I either help you think on how to get it done, or I can help you get it done.
So you do both coaching and consulting?
Yes, ma'am.
It just depends on what the need is and which role you're going to play.
Absolutely. And I really leave that up to the client. So after you come to me and we go through a discovery session and I create an assessment, I propose to you which pathway do you foresee yourself going? Some people don't need the help, the hands-on help that is. But then some small business owners, they're like, look, I'm already overwhelmed, as Paul said before. Can you just do this for me? So at that point, I would take full ownership of making sure that we've packaged up the project. We understand what it looks like. We've identified some realistic planning opportunities. We have identified and clarified our clear focus with our objectives, and we tie that back to the strategic alignment of what your goals are. We come up with some processes, we identify some quality metrics, and most importantly, we eliminate waste. So we're not doing anything that's outside of scope. We're not doing anything that's going to take us off a schedule. I'm not going to waste your money or your time, because at the end of the day, time is money. And we make sure that we're going to be in 100% alignment. And if something should change from what we had planned, as Paul said, have your plan and work your plan, but we're going to create a plan that actually works. So let's follow that plan and make sure that if something is not in alignment with what we talked about, let's revisit, let's sync up, let's come up with another plan of action, which brings me to my next point about risk management. A lot of people don't fully mitigate their risk or actually manage their risk. So there are several ways how you can manage your risk. Oftentimes we want to mitigate those, because if we have a risk that materializes that we didn't plan for, that inevitably can cost you money or time, which again, time comes back to money. So it's going to eventually cost you more money than what you may have planned. So we want to make sure that we avoid, mitigate, or transfer any risk at all costs. And if we find opportunities that can also be identified as a risk, those are positive risks, we make sure that we exploit those so that you can get the most out of that opportunity as possible.
Wow, it sounds like you're really, really analyzing the whole business process. What happens when when they're in the middle of all this analyzation and they discover that they're just not, like, they're not as ready as they thought they would be? How do you handle that when that comes up? I'm throwing something at you out of nowhere.
Sure, but I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that typically does happen, and you're right. So generally speaking, let's put this in a way that most people can follow, right? So when you're building a house, you have a plan. The house, you have a layout of what the house is going to look like. You're not going to put up drywall if you have not even put up the studs yet, right? That's just something you're not going to do. So typically what happens is, in that instance, we already know what we want to achieve. But sometimes you come up and you say, well, I'm in the design phase and I think that I'm going to change the paint from eggshell white to pink. That's possible when we're planning and discovering, and we're planning out what exactly we want the house to look like. And that's what happens when you're building a house, right? You go to design and you go through all this and you pick out textures and cabinets and floors and all of that. You can do that then, right? But let's say we started building and we're saying now we want to change the paint. Well, depending on if we've already painted the walls or not, that may be doable or not, right? But typically what happens is you go back to your builder and you say, I want to change the paint. And they may say, okay, that's going to result in a change order. You can always account for changes as they come up. It may still cost you money. So you want to be as decisive as you possibly can during that discovery phase as we start to plan out what this looks like step by step. And as we move forward into the design or the building part of that project, or whatever that is for you, it may be outsourcing to a different offshore team to have them to build a website for you, or whatever the product or service that we're delivering. But in essence, you have time if we take the time up front to really walk this through and talk about it and ask those crazy, ridiculous questions that most people have, but they don't articulate because they're fearful that it's going to sound crazy. Listen, nothing sounds crazy in project management, because one thing that we know for sure, that crazy question that you had may expose a vulnerability that we didn't account for in the beginning. So always ask those questions, but it's never too late to make changes. Just give us the time that we need. And I say give us, meaning me, the time that we need to walk through to understand what this looks like. And that's where we have those conversations and collaborate and brainstorm and map things out to the best of our ability so that we can make sure that we are realistic in our planning. We have those clear focuses with the objectives, and those are in alignment with what we're trying to achieve strategically within your business.
I have to say, I just love the house analogy. I can literally take that in my mind to what I do in business and 100% pinpoint exactly what you meant pertaining to my business, which is totally different than yours. But, like I think that analogy fits perfect darn near with any business owner. Like it's very crazy. You could take a photo and you might not like that photo, but now you got to get redressed for that photo. And now you got to get the photographer's time. I'm not a photographer, but I'm just saying, like, that could fit for almost anyone. So that's really cool.
Or you can just have an idea and say, listen, I have no idea. I want a 5-bedroom house, four bathrooms. I want a casita in the backyard with a tiny house. You could come up with some idea off the top of your head. But then when it comes down to going to architecture and having them to design and lay out what you're talking about, it may change, because maybe they may say, based on their subject matter expertise, I don't think it's wise to put a pool next to electrical outlet, or something like that, So that's where, it takes the trust of me as a subject matter expert and as a trusted advisor. At this point, I'm a partner of yours to help you deliver this achievable outcome, right? So if we're saying we're talking it through and I'm like, okay, I don't think that this sounds right, or let's fact check this, or let's get another advisor into here. And based on theirs, if they're saying, I think we should go left, and you're adamant about going right, unfortunately, we're going to yield to your decision because you're, at the end of the day, the final decision maker. But it may not provide the actual outcome that you're looking for it to provide. And that's what makes the partnership a little bit challenging for us on a daily basis, because it's like, we want you to be successful. I'm successful when you're successful. So if you can just trust me on what that process looks like, and as much as I'm trusting you, we can definitely achieve the outcome that you're looking for.
I love that. So let's talk about achieving outcomes. Why can't a coach help me launch products or services? What would the difference be there?
So great question again. The difference is when you come to a coach. So if you come to me and you ask me, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve, I'm going to say, well, what do you think? Who are the people that you're targeting? I'm asking you the questions, right? So it's not really solving the problem. It's getting you to really think about how to solve that problem, right, on your own. Some people just need help with strategy. And that's where the coaching comes in, helping you strategize on how to be able to achieve the outcome versus you saying, hey, I don't have time to handle this. I need you to help me with this. This is what I'm trying to achieve. This is the deadline that I want to have it achieved. Let's just touch base once a week or once every couple of weeks to see how this is going. So then that way I could say, okay, well, this is the task, this is the scope. We've already identified this. This is what the need is and the time frame. This is the budget that you have in mind. Let me start making some phone calls to see how we can get this aligned for you. Let me identify some teammates that I can bring on board to help us with this. And that's going to be that main difference between offering a strategy and helping you brainstorm and think on how to execute, and actually problem solving for you and actually running it for you, and then saying, hey, we're ending, we're approaching the deadline. We're 95% done. This is where we are. These are the punch list items that we're going to have to revisit once we go live or once this product is released. But generally speaking, this is where we are. And you could just say, great job. Thank you. Or can you check for me on this? And then I will come back to you with that. So those are the main fundamental differences between working with me as a coach and actually hiring me as a consultant.
That's interesting. So how does hiring a consultant add value to your business? I mean, I'm kind of already think I got the answer to that one, but how does it add value to your business?
So it adds value because you don't have to worry about doing it yourself. And that's the big difference. When you start up a business as an entrepreneur and you migrate over from that space into a small business owner, typically time becomes a major constraint. And even in project management, time is always a constraint because time is a driver for what the cost is going to cost you. The longer this drags out, the more it's going to cost. The shorter that time span that we have, the more it's going to cost, because now we're throwing resources at the project trying to meet your 3-week deadline as opposed to having a 6-week deadline that will give us more time to be able to build and flesh this out. So for me, the added value is, yes, it costs you money up front to secure those resources. However, the difference is it frees up your time for you to actually go back and run your business, do the things that are important to you. Actually take time to ride a bike today. Actually take time to go for a walk. Spend time with your children. Figure out how to operate your Google Sheets or something else that you really need the time to do, as opposed to sitting there banging your head against the desk trying to figure out, how do I do this again? And what's the difference between this tool and that tool? So I help connect the dots for you.
Right. It almost like it helps you to increase your momentum also. Like it keeps you moving forward faster instead of you trying to figure it all out on your own. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is key, because again, the more you don't know, the longer it's going to take you to achieve your goals. So if you come to me and you say, I have a 6-month initiative to go live with this website, this is what I want, we can actually start on that process and start mapping that out and get you going, as opposed to you starting the project on your own. You get into month 3 and realize, okay, this is not the platform that I thought I wanted to use. Or you're close to your go live date, as we talked about those SMART goals, right? You're close to your goal date, and then you realize something's not working the way that you thought it would work. Those are things that we can actually count for in discovery as we provide the assessments and scope out what the project looks like and find the right resources to help us. That will streamline all of that, and that will mitigate so much headache for you in the long run as you get ready to achieve your goals.
That makes so much sense and kind of ties back into a little bit of what Karen brought up way at the beginning of the call, asking the right people for the right help at the right time, doing what you're supposed to do. If you have no interest in developing websites in your future, why are you trying to create your own website? What income is that bringing you? Hire the professional to do the website. And it might cost you money up front, but in the long run, you're able to focus your time on what you need to do to make your business successful, right?
Absolutely. And it also holds people accountable too, the right people accountable to deliver. And when we talk about risk, that's one of the main benefits, right, of risk management, because if you hire someone and you have a resource, let's talk about the contractors again. We all know how the contractors, they suck you in. They're like, yeah, it's going to take us 6 weeks to renovate the garage. But then they leave, they don't come back for the next 2 weeks. You just lost 2 weeks of productivity. So if you have that contract in place and you have a consultant there that's familiar with what the terms and conditions are, I can go back to them and say, hey, we didn't talk about you starting and stopping for 2 weeks. When we talked about deliverables, when we mentioned what the lead times and the cycle times were, we only accounted for a week of lead time for the paint materials to come in. We didn't account for extra 2 weeks because you don't have resources. So now you're costing me time and money. So therefore you owe me money to be
Mhm.
able to compensate me for the time that I've waited for you just to get your act together, So those are some added values that you get in your business. But if you're not familiar with how that works, you may or may not know that. And you may even get frustrated within that process of how do you escalate? How do you contact? Okay, we all know, can I speak to your manager or supervisor, right? We know that one. But what are the legal ramifications when the deliverables are not given to me within a timeline that are defined in that contract that we mutually agreed upon? What do we do then? How do I make sure that I'm going to get what I asked you for and what I'm paying you for rendered to me? It's almost similar to when you shop online, right? I don't know, I'm pretty sure all of us shop online. I'm guilty for shopping online at Amazon, just convenient. So you look at a picture and you're expecting the shirt to look one way, and then it comes like, this is not what I bought. Well, you send it back. And Amazon has a part of their customer fulfillment process. If you're not satisfied, you just return it, and that's that. Sometimes they let you keep your money. Sometimes they actually, refund your account. Well, if you don't know what that return policy looks like, or if you say, okay, yeah, we went live, but there are some things that need to be tweaked with this website, we can go back and say, okay, you have a warranty period where you can go back and you can validate those punch list items, or that you have another 2 weeks to mitigate those or resolve those punch list items. Don't let those items prolong the next 8 months because now you're not a priority because they've gotten your money, they delivered a website, and now they're just like, well, we'll get to it when we get to you. That's not how that works. So that's one of the added values too that you get from working with me as well.
So you almost could, like, if somebody were going to take on a lot of different tasks, like they're going to get a website, they're going to get this, they're going to get that, but they don't fully understand or want to work with those specific companies, you can almost be like that middle person to say, to work with those other companies and say, hey, this is what we agreed upon on behalf of your client. So
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
okay.
That's exactly right. I facilitate all of that for my clients. So again, that's added value to you because now you're not on the phone for the next 4 hours with GoDaddy and then talking to a developer that you met off of Fiverr and wherever else, however people, aggregate their
Mm-hmm.
teams, right? We all piecemeal things together. So I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what that does for you is you can just say, you know what? Hey, Alexis, I just wanted to check the status of the website. Where are we with this? Okay, well, then I met a photographer who's going to take my pictures and create content. Is it possible that we can get those pictures uploaded to the website? My response to you will be, sure. Can you send them over to me by today? And then I'll get that over to the developer. And you should see that updated within the next 24 to 48 hours based on our agreement. I take all of that from you. So after you've hung up the phone and said, okay, thanks, that's now my problem to solve for you. And so that way it just alleviates all the stress and the headache from business owners from who are very already, again, constrained for time,
Right.
having to figure that out for themselves.
So what happens when, like, the photographer can't get your photos to you right away and you just got done telling your client, I'll have those ready in 24 to 48 hours on the website, but the photographer doesn't respond to you?
So listen, that's when you escalate. Listen, I don't know what you have going on, but this is the contractual agreement that we have here. And so if you can get that to me, and I'm glad you actually brought that up because one thing about being a consultant is I account for delays within my schedule. So
Mm.
once we've mapped up all the tasks, so great call out, right? So you know that you're going to have to take photos. So you know that when we're talking about what is going to be on the website, what does page 1 look like? What does page 2 look like? Those return into tasks, okay? And then we have actual stakeholders or team members that are going to be affected, right? So on the schedule, I will have photography. Okay, you have to book the location or the content studio. We're taking the pictures have to be developed and edited, right? And then they're sent back over to me. So knowing that that photographer is not dedicated to working with you, I would account for extra days in the schedule. So if we get all of that content done ahead of time, great. We have some extra time here. But what if you're running behind? Now I'm not impacted by the turnaround time to have that information turned over to the developer because I actually have time. So as long as I have it, say we counted for things to be done by Friday and today's Tuesday. If he doesn't get it to me till Thursday, we're not hard pressed at that point because we had until Friday. But let's say, for example, if today's Tuesday, he's like, I'm not going to have that back by Monday. Sir, we need that. We need that by Friday, 5 o'clock. And so even before then, I might end up touching base. Hey, just want to check the status and get an update. So that way, if they're saying I'm still running behind, I can prepare you for that little small delay and reassess what does that delay means? How does that impact our schedule? Is anybody else going to be affected other than the developer if those photos are not ready in time?
Well, that certainly adds an element of organization to anybody's business right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great, Alexis. Thank you for coming on and sharing all that information with us. That really has it's expanded my knowledge of different services that can be available for entrepreneurs to help get their stuff organized. Because really, there's a lot of people running around going chasing after everything, doing it all themselves.
And now her wheels are turning, and so I'm getting scared because that means that there's gonna be more stuff because my wheels are turning, her wheels are turning.
Kim is now a consultant.
I do have consultations in my in my heading. So yeah.
So if I may, before we go, let me give you some key tips, right, on how to get organized, because what Paul said was key. Microsoft OneNote is a fundamental tool that you can use to remain organized. You can send emails to your notebooks. You can send links to your people, whomever you need to. Hey, these are the notes from the meeting. You can do all kinds of stuff with OneNote. It's a lot of fundamental videos out there on YouTube and resources to tell you how to organize. So that's one free tip that you can use to remain organized. Another tip, especially for those who are Microsoft Teams savvy, they have plugins that you can use. So I know that a lot of times we refrain from using Microsoft Project because of the licensing can get kind of expensive, and people use Excel, as you guys mentioned before, to help navigate everything. You can create a Kanban board, which is nothing more than sticky notes that you can put inside of Planner, and you can assign those to people and say, hey, where are we for here? This is something we need to do. And once they've done it, they can just move it to done and check the box. So those are little small keys that you can use to help get organized within your business on a daily basis and start to improve organizational achievements.
Great. Great tips.
Thank you so much. I have put a link for if you'd like to find more information on Alexis, you can visit her dedicated page on our website, which is in the chat. So
did you have anything you wanted to offer our followers today?
Absolutely. Well, in alignment with thanking you for allowing me to be here today, I am giving away free consultations to everyone who wants to listen to or come to and ask me for some help. So I'll be willing to listen to what your needs are, help give you some ideas and some feedback on how to be able to move forward. And we can always go from there.
Great. So should they just reach out to you and say that they saw you on the Connect Show?
Absolutely. Just let me know that you saw me on the Connect Show, and we will go from there. We'll schedule a time. We'll talk things through, collaborate. I'll get some information from you, and I will give you some options on what your best next steps are based on recommendations and best practices.
Sounds fabulous. Thank you, Alexis.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody can pass that up.
she's a risk taker. I have no idea what's coming her way.
Okay, well, that just about wraps up our show for today. Great guests. I've learned a lot. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to look into that OneNote again because I've used it, but I have not stuck with it. It's one of those ones that I haven't stuck with.
That's what I was doing over the weekend, looking at the YouTube videos. There's a lot. I'm like, holy cow, I did not realize you could do all this.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we're missing out on something here.
I know. I know. One final call for Epic on Friday. Do not forget 10 a.m. Central. Join us. Join us.
Be there, be square.
Be there, be square. It is a Wisconsin chapter, but we have been getting people from nationwide. So it really doesn't matter your location because we're on Zoom. So I will put that in the chat again. And then so that you don't miss anything on our guests, I'm going to put their websites in there one more time.
Awesome. And thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you for our guest. Next week, we're going to be discussing a little bit about balance in your organization, in your business. So we're going to have, I don't have the right guests in there. I didn't change them. wait, I'll go find them quick.
Okay, she's finding.
I had my cheat sheet, but it did not.
Hey, see if you had one note.
Yeah.
See, if I had one note, I'd have it all figured out.
While she's looking for that, save the chat so you have the guest website so you don't miss it. Or you can always go to theconnectshow.com and look at past guests, and you can see all of our past guests. But we're shouting out Alexis and Paul today. So make sure to save the chat.
Yeah,
I'm going to put my little discs in there.
I mentioned them earlier. It was Patricia Clayson and Tanya Bartolini. So looking forward to having them next week.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Bill's given us a celebration background. Thank you guys so much. Surprise, I co-hosted again.
Great show, ladies.
I have much longer hair than John, even though Tracy comes in as John.
Yeah.
Thanks
Be
for having me
comfortable in
today.
John's chair.
I'm gonna stop recording and stop streaming. Say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.